exactly what their constituents want. So if you make your voice heard, your county commissioner, your mayor, they can do what you ask them to do in this situation. The opposition is for good reason. North Shore Drive is a dangerous road. I don't think that's any secret. And I'm gonna look down at my paper for a minute. I'm holding up here a letter that Commissioner Larson J. wrote to the mayor in September 1 of 2023, just a short time ago. And about halfway through the first page here, he cites some statistics, and the numbers don't lie. And I'll read from them. If you guys haven't internalized this, you need to memorize it. You need to get a copy of this letter. You need to be able to read from it. The Tennessee Department of Transportation reports that between 2018 and 2022, accidents along North Shore Corridor have increased 39%. According to the data, a majority of the accidents occurred during the daylight hours, 63.92%, in clear weather conditions, 71%, and along the roadway, not near an intersection, 83.51%. And he continues, Larson J. continues, he says, my own experience, he's been to this community, he says, my own experience traveling this area, along with the TDOT data, reinforces the perception, I think it's more than a perception, that large volumes of drivers are traveling along North Shore Drive at high rates of speed, and with the combination of an narrow roadway, it inevitably leads to increased accidents. His analysis supports this, as the 32.99% of reported accidents are rear-end collisions, which certainly can be attributed to the increased volume of traffic continuing to build in this area. So, your at-large commissioner, who is now running for mayor, acknowledges this problem. It's a legitimate concern. Some of you are asking, how did we get here? Okay, and that's the best question to get you started. Every new subdivision in Knox County must go through a process. This is the rezoning. It's the first step in the process. Concept plan will be next. Design plan review, final plat review, development plan review. At each one of those steps in the process, your elected officials have a duty to avoid the negative consequences and the negative impacts that come along with growth. And, you know, I'm speaking to the choir here, but Knox County has allowed increased population in your area without providing for the necessary infrastructure improvements to go along with it. And that's how you got here. That's why North Shore Drive is a dangerous road. And to add insult to injury, when your community raises concerns about road safety issues in the context of a new development coming along, what you often hear is that a traffic study will be provided. Maybe that the rezoning is not the time to look at this. A traffic study is going to come in one of those later steps in the process. However, you know, history has shown, the facts have shown, Larson J's letter shows, TDOT data shows, that traffic studies have failed to protect your community. If you had traffic studies that were legitimate, and people knew how to read them, and they followed them, and they were appropriate for the situation, you wouldn't have a dangerous road on North Shore Drive. We adopted traffic access and design criteria in 1995. The only subdivision on North Shore that had been approved at that time was Montgomery Cove. Okay, Montgomery Cove came along. We adopted these traffic impact study guidelines. Every new subdivision since Montgomery Cove has had a traffic study or a traffic impact letter. How, if you had all of this development with all of this oversight and still resulted in still have your crash rates over the statewide average? And that's where you stand right now. At the last meeting, the Planning Commission approved this. Mr. Snowden acknowledged that the crash rate on North Shore Drive between Choteau and Concord was above the statewide average. And you know, Angela Russell sitting here, you know, we can't ignore the tragic consequences of the danger that you're facing on North Shore Drive anymore. In the last 2 years, we've had as many deaths on North Shore Drive, just on North Shore Drive. And I heard just the other day that there was a new fatality on Harvey.
December 23.
So, you know, I'll say the
Teacher,
names.
I think.
Suzanne Russell and Jeanette Guzman. It's a painful reminder of the way that we need to change the way we look at growth and development in Knox County. So what can you do, right? The next question, what can you do? And I've got another example here, or saying. When you're in a hole, stop digging, right? When you're in a hole, stop digging. And what do? You do the next easiest thing to stop digging down into the hole. The next easiest thing to do to stop putting traffic on Northshore Drive is to disapprove this or deny this rezoning. If you deny this rezoning, you can be sure that the 2,000 cars that this subdivision would generate won't be on Northshore Drive. That's the only way to do it. The next easiest thing to do will be to deny the next rezoning that comes along and the next development plan that comes along unless and until Northshore Drive is made safe. And so the way that you do that is you can't show up when the sign goes up in the yard. When this one gets denied, and I'm confident that we have a good chance of getting this one denied, you need to remain vigilant. You can't stop letting your commissioners know that you want to keep North Shore safe. And you're asking, you have to personalize it. You have to ask, how did the main road through the community where I chose to raise my kids become dangerous? How did we let that happen as a community? It wasn't dangerous in 1995 when Montgomery Cove was developed, and it wasn't dangerous in 2018. Something has happened. There's been a lot of development. You've experienced it day to day. The traffic, the car accidents. Can you or can't you leave your house at a certain time of day? Are you gonna have to, can you turn left out of your subdivision, or are you gonna have to turn right and make a U-turn? So that's what you're dealing with. You gotta make it personal. The third thing that you might wanna do is call for a moratorium on development on the Choteau Peninsula until you get the necessary road improvements. And those are the easy things. The road improvements, quite honestly, are gonna be difficult. I think Mr. Snowden, the engineering department, said that you're gonna need 90 million, was it $90 million?
90 million to do a 4-lane setup from roundabout to roundabout. And you told me at the Montgomery Cove meeting that was coming. It ain't coming. That's 5 years worth of annual budget for the entire county. That ain't coming. Yeah. You're wrong.
And I will get to that.
I remember it.
Yeah. So $90 million is a heavy lift for this county. You're not gonna get there next year. You're not gonna get there in 5 years. You may not get there in a decade.
That's 5 years worth of total annual budget.
Total capital budget for the county for roads. So virtually impossible unless you spend all the county money and raise taxes and get the road. But to say that we need a 4-lane road between Westland or wherever it is and
Choteau and Concord, yeah.
It says that's sort of the nature of the problem that you have. And why? Why have we not made incremental improvements along the way so that we can have growth in our neighborhoods without getting to a breaking point? This is a breaking point, I think, for your community. Moratorium until crash rates drop below the statewide average. This is not a superlative for Choteau. You are above the statewide average. It's not like saying your kids are above average, right? This is not what we're going. So how do we do it? Melissa said, can't do it alone. Need the community help. Make your voices heard. Each and every one of you reach out to your elected officials. For sure, John Schoonmaker, great guy. I know John, he will listen to you, and you need to let him know. I know that you can listen to your community and vote accordingly. There's nothing holding these people back. There's nothing holding your elected officials back, county commission back from doing exactly what you want in this case. It's a rezoning, and they can vote with their constituency. Larson J, we've mentioned him. He's your at-large commissioner. Ken Frazier is your other at-large commissioner, and Glenn Jacobs is your county mayor. Ultimately, these people are setting priorities. They need to listen to the constituency. If you've got a problem, they have to listen to you. Let them know you're watching. Submit comments to the public forum. Sign up to speak at public forum on the 26th. Say we're going to be there. Together we can make a difference. And you can ensure that the safety and well-being of your community and your children is put above the next new subdivision in Choate. And I want to say thanks and pass, I guess, back to Melissa.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right, thank you.